The blade kissed Jace's jacket and stole a thread of fabric. Heat shimmered off the scrapyard arena. Broken starship ribs made a jagged ring around the fighters. Sand hissed across metal. The twin suns over Korra's beat down like interrogators. Yield, Earthborn. VYRN's crest flared copper. He was taller by a head. Faster by two. His training armor pulsed with every breath. Jace didn't yield. He'd learned to fight in maintenance shafts where you couldn't swing wide. He shifted his weight, let VYRN's second cut pass, and slammed an elbow into the alien's throat guard. It rang like a bell. VYRN staggered, shocked more than hurt. On the observation gantry, someone laughed. Light. Musical. Too calm for a place that smelled like rust and blood. Nira leaned on the rail, silver-white hair braided with thin strands of light. At 15, she already wore the quiet authority of the Kalari sovereign line. Her violet skin drank the sun and returned it as a soft glow. Your footwork is chaos, Jace, she called. But your chaos is learning. Your Highness, Jace panted, my chaos is busy not dying. Cade clapped from the shade beside her. Broad-shouldered, blue-gold skin, smile that could end a riot. He tossed Jace a canteen with a lazy arc drink. Pretend you know what you're doing. Their fingers brushed when Jace caught it. Everything changed. Nira's glow flashed bright along the veins of her hands. Patterns unfurled under her skin like constellations waking. Her pupils opened, a storm swallowing the silver ring of her irises. She jerked back, breath sharp. The light didn't vanish. It settled into a slow, unsettled pulse along her collarbones. Cade saw it, and the grin slid from his face. Nira, he said softly. I'm fine, she lied. Her voice wavered, then steadied. It is the heat. Jace froze, canteen forgotten. He had seen Kalari bioluminescence before. He had never seen that. It felt like standing too close to a reactor, like a secret choosing him. Back to it. VYRN snapped, angry at being ignored. He lunged. Jace was late. The wooden practice blade cracked across his ribs. Air fled his lungs. He went to a knee. The arena tilted. VYRN raised his weapon for the finishing touch. Jace dropped the canteen and rolled. Sand sprayed. He kicked the alien's ankle, and, as VYRN faltered, Jace drove his shoulder into the other man's hips. They crashed together. Jace let the blade go and grabbed for anything that would end it fast. His fingers found a fallen cable tie. He looped it. Yanked. VYRN choked, eyes wide. Yield, Jace rasped. You fight like a dock rat. VYRN hissed, and let his weapon fall. Cheers rose from the scrap towers. Wagers changed hands. Nira didn't cheer. She studied Jace as if he were a problem with only one correct answer. When he looked up, she was already descending the gantry steps. Cade jumped down beside him first. He pulled Jace up and pressed their foreheads together, Kalari style. Brothers until the suns drown, they said together. Old words. Older than the city. Cade had made Jace learn them the first week they met. Boys and oaths, Nira murmured, reaching them. She offered the canteen again. He took it carefully. Their skin didn't touch. Sirens cut the air. 3 tones. Not a drill. Not the smugglers. Not a sandstorm. Invasion. The city's shield pylons stuttered to life. Dust leapt from every surface. Overhead, the horizon split with burning trails. Dropships. Dozens. Maybe more. Inside, Cade snapped. The lazy smile was gone. The heir to a steel dynasty looked like a soldier. Nira, to the diplomatic lift. Like hell, she said, teeth bared. It's my city. Your city needs you alive, Cade shot back. Jace's calm flared with a flood of military codes he wasn't supposed to have. He'd been running freight for the wrong people for too long not to recognize them. Hegemony signatures. Corporate war machine. Clean and cold. The first blast hit the outer halves. The sky went green. Windows shattered across the ring. People screamed. Metal screamed louder. Cade grabbed Nira's arm. Biolight flared where he touched her, but not like before. Familiar. Safe. She ripped free anyway, fury in the lines of her face. This is our home. It will be ash if you argue, Cade said. Move. Jace ran with them. Down maintenance rungs. Across a catwalk that shook with every impact. The air tasted like copper and hot glass. At the base of the lift, security teams were already forming a wall. They saw Nira and straightened, fear and reverence mixing in their eyes. Someone shoved a rifle into Jace's hands without asking who he was. The lift doors opened. A wave of heat rolled out, carrying the smell of ozone and melting plastic. A woman stumbled from the car holding a child. Behind them, fire. Secondary route, Kate barked. We go topside. Tops, Jace started. The roof. They climbed. The city held beneath them. Jace's hands burned on the ladder rungs. He didn't feel it. He kept seeing the patterns that had erupted under Nira's skin when he had touched her. Why him? Why now? They burst out into the hard light. Wind clawed at them. The palace spire threw a long, jagged shadow across the scrapyard. Dropships carved scars in the sky. One was already angling toward the royal tower. Cade pointed to a sleek courier skiff chained to a mooring post. Jace, can you fly that? Can I breathe? Then fly. They sprinted. A lance of plasma hammered the far side of the roof. The shockwave knocked them sideways. Jace rolled, came up running, and vaulted into the skiff. He tore through the startup sequence with the brutality of someone who'd learned on dying machines. The engine coughed, protested, then screamed awake. Nira grabbed the rail to climb aboard. Her hand brushed his wrist. The world narrowed to light. Not heat, not touch. Recognition. The patterns beneath her skin surged, answering something in him he didn't know he carried. Silver flooded her eyes. Jace's breath hitched. The skiff's console glitched, readings spiking with every heartbeat. Nira ripped her hand back like she'd touched a live wire. Don't, she whispered, terrified of her own pulse. Not again. Cade looked between them. Understanding dawned. Fear chased it. We don't have time, he said hoarsely. Jace, get us off this roof. The skiff lifted. The city fell away. Fire traced lines through the streets like burning script. Hegemony gunships pivoted toward them. Jace shoved the throttle forward and kissed the gap between two cooling towers so tight the skiff's belly scraped steel. Where? He shouted. North, Cade said. Signal beacon at the salt flats. Loyalists will meet us. They'd better be loyal, Jace muttered. A missile lock wailed. He killed the heat signature and cut power. The skiff dropped like a stone. Nira's hand found the rail. Her jaw clenched. She did not scream. At the last heartbeat, Jace reignited the engine. The skiff kicked. The missile overshot. The explosion painted the air white. They skimmed the rooftops. The palace tower burned. The city's heart was bleeding out. Nira turned her face to the wind. The biolight on her throat pulsed a slow, dangerous rhythm. They think we will kneel, she said, voice calm as dust. They don't know us. Cade's hand settled on Jace's shoulder. A squeeze. A vow. Brothers, he said. Until the suns drown. Jace didn't look away from the burning horizon. Until the suns drown, he answered. Behind them, Cora screamed. Ahead, the salt flats glared like a blade. And somewhere above, unseen eyes marked a human smuggler, a fallen heir, and a luminous princess on a single small ship, and decided the hunt had begun. The salt flats stretched endlessly, pale and silent beneath the twin suns. The air shimmered with heat, mirage after mirage of broken ships and forgotten wars. Jace guided the skiff low, its engines coughing protest at every gust of dust-laden wind. Behind him, Cade scanned the horizon while Nira sat silent, her silver eyes unfocused, lost somewhere between terror and memory. No one spoke for a long time. Only the hum of the ship filled the space between heartbeats. Then Cade broke the silence. You fly like a lunatic. Jace didn't turn. We're alive, aren't we? For now, Cade said, checking the fuel gauge. But this crate wasn't meant for long hauls. We'll have to ditch it before nightfall. Nira finally stirred. The beacon's 2 clicks east of the old mining ridge. Loyalists will wait there. Loyalists, Jace muttered. Big word for people who tend to vanish when bullets fly. Her glare could have cracked stone. They are loyal to the crown. I've met the crown's loyalists before, he said. Usually, they're loyal to whoever pays first. Cade shot him a warning look. Enough. You're talking to someone who bleeds like the rest of us. Jace cut in. For a moment, the cockpit was ice cold. Then Nira turned away, the bioluminescent lines along her neck dimming to a faint, angry pulse. Cade sighed. You've got away with diplomacy, Earthborn. I've got away with survival. The flatline beep of a radar sweep interrupted them. A red dot blinked to life on the display, fast, closing from the west. Company, Cade said. Jace flicked the sensors. Single ship. Small. Could be a scout drone. Nira leaned forward. No, Look at its flight pattern, manual control. Someone's tracking us. The words barely left her mouth when a plasma bolt tore past the skiff, scorching the air. Guess they found us, Jace growled, pulling the ship into a hard dive. The engine screamed as he weaved through columns of dust and shattered metal spires, wrecks from an ancient war buried beneath the sand. Cade braced himself against the console. You trying to kill us before they do? Hold on to something shiny and pray. Jace snapped, twisting the throttle. The pursuing craft, a sleek interceptor, black as oil, sliced through the haze behind them, firing in tight bursts. Blue fire raked the ground, melting sand into glass. Jace threw the skiff into a barrel roll and clipped the edge of a crumbling tower. Metal shrieked, a wing tore free, but the maneuver sent the interceptor overshooting its mark. Cade slammed a fist against the console. We can't outgun them. Didn't plan to. Jace's grin was wild and feral. We're going underground. Underground, Nira repeated, incredulous. There's nothing down there. The sand split open ahead of them, a gaping sinkhole left by the old mining shafts. Exactly, Jace said. The skiff plunged into the darkness. Wind howled through the open hatch. For a heartbeat, they were falling, weightless. Then Jace hit the thrusters in reverse, slamming the craft into a rough landing that scattered sparks across the tunnel floor. They sat there, panting, listening to the engine cool. Above, faint echoes of the interceptor's searchlights rippled through cracks in the rock. Cade exhaled. You're insane. Jace wiped sweat from his brow. You're welcome. Nira's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. You risked all our lives. And saved them, he shot back. Her gaze softened just a fraction. For now. They exited the crippled skiff, boots crunching on dry stone. The tunnels smelled of dust and oil, relics of the miners who'd once stripped this planet for its metal veins. Faded signs in alien script glowed faintly, emergency lights running on half-dead cells. Beacons dead, Cade said, checking his wrist display. The loyalists never made it. Nira frowned. Impossible. Possible, Jace said, pointing to a melted rifle buried in the sand. And recently possible. A soft chime echoed through the cavern. Then a flicker of blue light shimmered in the dust ahead. A holographic figure appeared, cracked, distorted, but unmistakably Cade's image, recorded long ago. Brother, the ghost said, voice broken by static. If you're seeing this, the capital has fallen. They'll come for you and the princess both. Trust no one. Not even me. The recording flickered again. There's one chance left, the vault under the Silent City. Find it before they do. It's the key to ending this war, and maybe to saving her. The hologram fizzled and died. For a long time, no one spoke. Cade's jaw tightened. That's my voice. My message. But I never made that recording. Nira's eyes widened. Then who did? The cavern lights dimmed. Somewhere deeper in the tunnels, machinery rumbled awake. Ancient, mechanical, alive. Jace raised his rifle. We need to move. Now. As they ran, Nira glanced back once at the dying glow of the hologram. The bioluminescent lines along her arms began to pulse. Faster, responding to something unseen. Jace noticed. You're glowing again. She didn't answer. Her voice trembled. It's not me. It's the vault calling. And from far beneath the stone, something answered. 3 tones, identical to the invasion alarm that had started it all. Only this time, they weren't a warning. They were an invitation. The tunnels of Korras had been carved by hands long dead. Rusted rails stretched into the dark like veins, leading toward the heart of the forgotten world. Every sound echoed. Footsteps, breathing, the metallic whisper of weapons drawn too late to matter. Jace walked point, rifle raised, pulse tight against his throat. Behind him, Nira's faint bioluminescence painted the walls in shifting silver light, her glow pulsing with each heartbeat. Cade followed last, silent, eyes scanning every shadow. They had been walking for hours. The heat above had given way to a chill that clung to bone. The air smelled of ozone and buried storms. Tell me again, Jace said, his voice low but sharp, how your ancient empire thought building secret vaults in deserts was a good idea. Cade gave a grim smile. Not my empire. My father's. And he was brilliant, I suppose? He was paranoid, Nira said softly. The Vault of Whispers wasn't built for safety. It was built to hide a weapon. That made Jace pause. A weapon? What kind? The kind that remembers, Nira murmured. The kind that learns who you are before deciding if you deserve to live. The tunnel widened into a cavern so massive it seemed to breathe. Stalactites of glowing crystal hung from the ceiling, dripping faint sparks into pools of mercury-like liquid below. At the far end stood a monolith, smooth, black, silent, older than any empire. It's real, Cade whispered. I thought it was just one of Father's stories. Jace approached the stone slowly. If that's a story, it's one with teeth. The surface rippled when he got close. A shimmer, like heat haze, but colder. Lines of alien script crawled across it, rearranging themselves into symbols that pulsed in rhythm with Nira's glow. It's responding to her, Jace said. Nira stepped forward, almost entranced. No, it's responding to us. Before Cade could stop her, she pressed her hand to the monolith. The world broke open. Light poured from the stone, not bright, but heavy. It filled their minds, not their eyes. Jace stumbled, visions slamming into him like static from a dying star. Cities burning, skies torn by ships shaped like knives, humans kneeling before alien judges. And through it all, a voice, ancient, calm, female, whispering in a language that somehow understood him. Chosen by betrayal, it said. Marked by light and shadow. The bond awakens. The vision snapped away. Jace found himself on his knees, gasping. Nira stood at the center of the room, her body blazing with living constellations, the patterns on her skin now stretching across her face, her neck, her hands, alive with meaning. What did it say? Cade asked, though his voice trembled. Nira blinked slowly, dazed. It spoke of connection, of a link between worlds. It called us bridges. Jace looked down and froze. The veins beneath his own skin glowed faintly, echoing her patterns, duller but there. Oh hell, he muttered. Nira stepped closer. Your body, it's resonating with mine. The vault has fused us. Fused? Jace snapped. As in, what? Some cosmic marriage certificate? Cade's jaw clenched. There's only one reason the vault would do that. It recognizes a dual inheritance, two species, one code. My father theorized it was meant to unite enemies through blood. Jace laughed bitterly. Yeah, well, I didn't sign up for interstellar unity. The monolith flared again, brighter, angrier. The entire cavern trembled. From the dark tunnels behind them came the echo of metal boots and electric hums. Drones, Cade hissed. They found us. Jace raised his rifle. How? We left no trace. Not us, Nira whispered. The vault called them. It's testing us. The first drone emerged, spider-like, plated in silver alloy, its red optics slicing through the gloom. Dozens more followed, crawling over the rocks like a living tide. Jace, Cade said calmly, though his hands shook as he drew his pistol. You ever fought a myth? Not sober. The first plasma bolt seared past. Jace dove behind a rock, returning fire. His shots hit true, but the drones reformed, metal flowing back into shape. They self-repair, he shouted. Nira lifted her arms, her biolight pulsing like a heartbeat. The air around her shimmered, thickened, and then exploded outward. The drones nearest her froze, suspended midair, their joints sparking as unseen energy bent them into molten arcs. Cade stared. What did you just do? I don't know, she said, voice shaking. It feels like the vault is using me. Jace fired again, gritting his teeth. Then tell it to use harder. The cavern roared with battle, plasma fire, collapsing stone, the scent of burning metal. Jace moved with reckless precision, covering Cade while Nira unleashed waves of energy that cracked the air like thunder. But for every drone that fell, two more emerged from the dark. They were being overwhelmed. Cade caught one bolt to the shoulder and went down hard. Go, he shouted. Get her out of here. Not happening. Jace yelled back, dragging him to cover. Nira stood at the center, trembling as if holding back a storm. I can end it, she whispered. But it will burn me. No, Jace said, gripping her wrist. You're not dying for this. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time he saw fear, not of death, but of being alone again. Then hold on to me, she said. She pressed her hand against his chest, and light consumed them both. The vault screamed. Energy ripped through the cavern, white and gold, vaporizing every drone in sight. When the noise finally died, the air smelled of ozone and silence. Jace opened his eyes. The cavern was empty. The monolith had cracked in half, leaking faint silver mist. Nira collapsed into his arms. Her glow was fading fast. Cade limped over, eyes wide. She's alive. Barely. Jace lifted her, heart pounding. We need to move before this place decides to kill us too. As they stumbled toward the exit, the remnants of the vault whispered one last phrase through the dust. 2 worlds bound. 1 destiny ignited. The war has begun. Outside, lightning danced across the salt flats where no storm should exist. And far above the planet, unseen in orbit, an armada changed course, its commanders watching the vault's light fade and marking new targets on their maps. Targets labeled Jace Calder and Princess Nira of Thessa. The storm over Korra's broke at dawn. Lightning flashed across the salt plains, forking from horizon to horizon, as if the planet itself were warning them to turn back. The wind carried fine white dust that stung the skin and whispered through the bones of long-dead machines. Jace guided their stolen crawler through the storm, its cracked windshield humming with static. The landscape blurred, a world of endless glass dunes and half-buried towers that once belonged to the mining guilds. Nira lay half-conscious in the back seat, her skin glowing faintly beneath a thermal blanket. Her bioluminescent lines were dull now, like dying stars. Cade sat beside her, clutching his bandaged shoulder and staring at her as if looking for proof she was still alive. "How's she doing?" Jace asked, not looking back. "She's breathing," Cade said quietly. "But her pulse keeps syncing with yours. The link, whatever the vault did, it's binding her life to yours now." "Great," Jace muttered. "Guess I can't die without making it a double feature." Cade shot him a look. "This isn't a joke. It's all I've got," Jace said. "If I stop joking, I start thinking. And if I start thinking, I'll realize we're one broken axle away from dying in the middle of nowhere." They fell silent again, save for the rhythmic clank of the crawler's treads. Hours later, the storm began to fade. The plains ahead were broken by massive crystalline pillars, towering shards of translucent metal that caught the sunlight and split it into rainbows. Between them lay the ruins of a once mighty city, its domes cracked and half swallowed by sand. Nira stirred. "Thessa," she whispered. Jace blinked. "You know this place?" She sat up slowly, pain written across her face. "It was one of our first colonies. My ancestors abandoned it after the energy wars. They said the ground here burned anyone who tried to rebuild." "Sounds welcoming," Jace said. Cade checked his scanner. "Radiation's normal. The vault must have shielded this whole region centuries ago." Nira stepped out of the crawler, boots sinking into the soft sand. Her light flared brighter with each step, reflecting off the glass towers. "This city remembers us," she murmured. "I can feel it watching." Jace followed, uneasy. "Let's just find shelter before it remembers we're trespassers." They entered the shadow of the largest dome, a cracked sphere of black crystal half buried in dust. Inside, sunlight filtered through fractured glass, painting the chamber in shards of gold and violet. It wasn't empty. Rows of statues lined the walls, figures in ceremonial armor, alien faces serene, hands folded around crystalline blades. But as Jace drew closer, he realized they weren't statues at all. They were people, preserved perfectly in some kind of suspended stasis, their bioluminescence faint but alive, pulsing in rhythm with the faint hum beneath the floor. Cade's voice was barely a whisper. "By the stars, this isn't a tomb. It's a vault of bodies." Nira reached out, touching the glass between her and one of the frozen figures. Her glow reacted instantly, the same patterns mirrored faintly on the sleeping alien skin. "They're Thessian guardians," she said softly. "My ancestors' elite. They were sealed here, waiting for the royal signal to awaken." Jace frowned. "You mean, your family just keeps an army on ice until they need it?" "Until we're desperate," she said. "And we are." Before he could respond, the hum deepened. The glass beneath their feet pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Nira froze. "That wasn't me." From the far end of the hall, a low mechanical growl answered. Shadows moved behind the pillars, sleek, angular, fast. "Drones again," Jace said, raising his rifle. "No," Cade whispered. "Worse." Figures stepped from the darkness, humanoid, but wrong. Flesh mixed with machine, silver veins pulsing beneath translucent skin. Their eyes glowed with artificial amber light. "Hybrid sentinels," Nira said, her voice shaking. Theshan designs, but twisted. Someone's corrupted them. The nearest sentinel tilted its head, mechanical servos whirring. Princess Nira of Thessa, it said, voice filtered and broken. Your bloodline is obsolete. Jace didn't wait for diplomacy. Obsolete this, he growled and fired. The shot hit dead center. The sentinel staggered, but didn't fall. Its body reshaped around the impact, molten metal knitting the wound closed. Oh, that's cheating, Jace hissed. Cade grabbed Nira's arm. There's too many. We need to move. They ran, plasma fire slicing through the air. Statues shattered as energy bolts ripped through the dome. The hum grew louder, resonating with Nira's glow until the air itself vibrated. They ducked into a maintenance corridor, doors slamming shut behind them as Cade hacked the panel. The sound of metallic fists pounding on the other side echoed like thunder. What the hell were those things? Jace demanded. Nira's voice trembled. My people's legacy. The hegemony must have found the old labs and repurposed them. Then they're using your own ancestors to hunt you. She nodded grimly. And if they reach the surface, they'll awaken the sleepers. That army will no longer be mine. The pounding stopped. Silence returned. Then, faintly, the whisper of static filled the corridor, like a voice carried on the wires. Nira, it was soft. Familiar. Male. Nira, it's Cade. You must run. Cade's blood went cold. That's not me. The lights flickered. The static deepened into words again. He's lying to you. He's not who he says. Jace turned sharply. Okay, someone want to explain why the walls are accusing your brother here? I'm not. Cade started, but Nira's gaze was locked on him now. Uncertainty blooming where trust had been. The voice came again, stronger. He works for them. He brought the beacon. He led them here. Nira's glow flared dangerously bright. Is that true? Cade took a step back. No. Nira, you know me. Answer the question. Jace barked. Before he could, the wall exploded. The hybrids burst through, weapons raised. Cade drew his pistol. You want the truth? He shouted, firing. You'll hate it. The blast lit the corridor, and the truth he'd held for years began to burn its way out, just as the first sentinel struck. The tunnel collapsed in a roar of fire and dust, and as the world fell apart around them, Jace heard Cade's voice through the chaos, ragged, desperate, final. Protect her, no matter what she thinks I am. Then the explosion swallowed everything. When Jace opened his eyes again, there was only silence, ash, and Nira's trembling hand clutching his. Her glow had turned blood red. The smoke from the collapse hung in the air like a living thing. It clung to their lungs, filled every breath with the taste of ash and regret. Somewhere behind the shattered wall, the last echoes of the explosion faded into silence. Cade was gone. Jace knelt amid the rubble, fingers clawing through scorched stone and twisted metal. He was right here, he shouted, his voice raw. He was right here. Nira stood behind him, her glow pulsing in erratic flashes. Anger, grief, confusion all tangled together. He saved us, she said quietly, as if testing the truth of her own words. Or bought time for himself, Jace snapped. He stopped digging, chest heaving. We don't know what that voice was, but it knew his name. It knew you. That's not a coincidence. Nira turned away. Her face was unreadable, carved from violet light and shadow. He was my brother in every way that mattered. The only one who stood by me when the council turned its back. Jace wiped the grime from his face. And that's exactly why it hurts more when it's true. Her glow dimmed. You think I don't feel it? I felt his heartbeat stop through the link the vault created. Whatever he was hiding, it died with him. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence pressed down heavy and endless. Then, a low hum rippled through the ruins. Deep, resonant, coming from beneath the floor. Jace tensed. Please tell me that's not another one of your ancient family vaults. Nira tilted her head, listening. No, it's a transmitter. And it's human tech. He blinked. Human. She crouched, brushing aside debris until her fingers found a metal plate half buried in the dust. It was marked with a sigil Jace knew too well, a coiled serpent biting its tail. The Orion Syndicate, he muttered. Black market arms traders. Half of them work for the hegemony now. Nira looked up sharply. Then we're not just being hunted. We've been tracked from the start. Jace's stomach turned cold. And Cade knew the routes we took. Her expression faltered for the first time. Stop, she said softly. But he didn't. The skiff, the safe tunnels, the signal at the salt flats, it was all too easy. He wasn't lying when he said we'd hate the truth. Enough. Her voice cracked, the bioluminescent lines along her arms flaring like molten veins. The air vibrated with her emotion. He saved my life, Jace. He pulled me out of that inferno when the vault collapsed. Don't twist that into betrayal just because it fits your story. Jace opened his mouth to argue, but stopped. There was something in her tone, something more than pain. It was fear. Nira, he said quietly. You're scared, but not of him. What are you not telling me? She hesitated. Then, as if surrendering to gravity, she whispered, the link. The one the vault created. It didn't just bind us. It changed me. Her glow deepened into a storm of color, shifting between silver, violet, and gold. Sparks danced along her fingertips. I can hear them. Jace, the hybrids. Their thoughts. Their commands. They're searching, but not for me. Then who? You, she said. Jace blinked. What? They're calling you the key. Whatever the vault did, it rewrote part of your genetic code. You carry the activation sequence they need. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. So I'm a walking password to an alien apocalypse. Great. Her expression softened. You're more than that. The vault didn't choose you by accident. It saw something in you. Human unpredictability, chaos, defiance. It made you its weapon. Before he could respond, a faint chime echoed through the ruins. A holographic beacon flickered to life nearby, casting pale blue light across the rubble. It formed a familiar face, half human, half machine. Kate. Nira gasped, hand flying to her mouth. The hologram spoke, voice calm and clear. If you're seeing this, then I failed. The syndicate's inside the hegemony now, controlling both sides. They wanted the vault opened, and they wanted Jace alive to do it. I tried to stall them, but I ran out of time. Nira, you must trust the human. He's the only one who can finish what I started. Static warped his image, but the message kept going. Jace, listen carefully. The vault's core wasn't just a weapon, it's a memory engine. It holds the genetic blueprints of both our species. If the syndicate merges those codes, they can erase the boundary between human and alien. No more difference. No more choice. The hologram flickered again, fading. Find the silent spire. It's hidden beneath the polar storms of Vera 9. The coordinates are in your blood now. Don't let them win. And Nira, he hesitated, eyes softening. I never betrayed you. I just couldn't tell you the truth. Then the image vanished. Nira sank to her knees. He wasn't lying, she whispered. He died protecting us. Jace stood there, silent. The guilt hit like a hammer. Damn it. He crouched beside her. Hey, we'll finish what he started. Together. Her eyes met his, and for the first time since the vault, there was something human in them. Fragile, exhausted, hopeful. The moment broke with a sharp, electronic ping. Jace's wrist console flashed red. Incoming transmission. Encrypted hegemony code. Source unknown. He hesitated, then opened it. A woman's voice filled the air, smooth, venomous, familiar. Captain Jace called her. It purred. You've been busy. The syndicate thanks you for unlocking the vault. Pity your brother didn't survive to see it. Jace froze. Brother? The voice laughed. Oh, you didn't know? Cade wasn't your enemy, but he wasn't her brother either. He was yours. The vault chose both of you for a reason. Two halves of the same design. The transmission cut off before either could speak. Nira stared at him, stunned. Your brother? Jace's pulse roared in his ears. The storm outside had gone quiet, the air heavy with unspoken revelation. He looked toward the horizon, where the light of distant gunships flickered like approaching fireflies, and whispered. Then this just got personal. And somewhere above, a hegemony dreadnought turned toward Vera 9, locking onto the genetic beacon pulsing in his veins. The sky above Vera 9 was a frozen bruise, streaks of violet auroras twisting over endless tundra. Ice storms moved like living walls, swallowing sound and light alike. Somewhere beneath that chaos, hidden under centuries of frost, was their destination, the silent spire. Jace had never seen anything so dead and alive at the same time. Towers of black ice pierced the clouds like jagged teeth. The air itself hummed with electromagnetic distortion, making his ship's instruments blink like dying stars. This place, he muttered, hands gripping the controls, looks like a nightmare someone forgot to wake up from. It's older than the nightmares, Nirax said beside him. Her glow had turned pale, almost translucent in the cold light. The spire was built when my kind still believed we could speak to the stars, before we learned they were already listening. Comforting, Jace said, as lightning arced across the horizon. Behind them, the engines coughed and sputtered. We're losing stabilizers, he warned. Then land before the storm decides for you, she replied. The ship hit the ice hard, sliding across the frozen plain until it skidded to a stop beside a ridge of crystalline rock. The hull groaned, steaming from the sudden freeze. Jace exhaled through chattering teeth. We're down, more or less alive. I'll take it. Nira rose, wrapping her cloak tighter around her shoulders. Don't celebrate yet. The spire doesn't like visitors. He gave a grim laugh. Neither do I. They stepped out into the storm. Wind screamed around them, shards of ice slicing through the air like glass. The planet's thin atmosphere shimmered with auroral energy, bending light into strange shapes. At the edge of the ridge stood the spire, a single monolithic tower rising from the ice, smooth and dark, vanishing into the clouds above. Its surface pulsed faintly, like a sleeping heart. The vault was a weapon, Nira murmured. The spire is something else. It's where the architects stored their will, the code that shaped both our species. Jace glanced at her. And you're sure walking inside won't vaporize us? Her eyes glinted silver. No. Good. I was getting bored of living. They approached the spire's base, where ancient runes glowed faintly beneath the ice. The air thickened as they drew closer, every breath vibrating in their chests. Then, without warning, the ground split open. A stairway of light unfolded downward into the earth. Jace stared. Do your people ever use doors? Doors are for those who ask permission, she said and began descending. He followed, muttering, and I'm the one called reckless. The staircase led into a vast chamber beneath the ice, so large it could have housed cities. The walls were alive with motion, streams of data flowing like rivers of light, each one carrying images of human and Theshan history. Wars, empires, extinctions, all looping endlessly. This is it, Nira whispered. The genetic core, the memory of creation. At the center stood a pillar of liquid crystal, rotating slowly, suspended in midair. Inside it glowed two strands of light, one blue, one gold, entwined in a slow spiral. The twin codes, she said. Humanity and Thessa. Both incomplete. Jace stepped closer, the patterns under his skin beginning to burn. It's reacting to me again. Because you are the bridge, she said. Half of the key rests in your body now. The other half, she hesitated, died with Cade. Jace clenched his fists. Then how do we finish this without him? The spire answered for them. A voice, not sound but vibration, rippled through the air. The design requires balance. One light, one shadow, one bloodline. Nira stumbled back, covering her ears. It knows. The voice continued, calm and endless. The second bearer lives. His code persists. Retrieve and unite. Jace's pulse spiked. Cade? He's alive. Before Nira could answer, the spire's lights shifted to crimson. A shrill alarm echoed through the chamber. Unauthorized presence detected. The voice said, but this time it wasn't ancient. It was mechanical, cold, hegemony-made. Dozens of dark shapes dropped from the ceiling. Drones forged from human steel and Theshan bone. Hybrid enforcers. The Syndicate's newest soldiers. Nira's eyes widened. They've integrated the old tech. They followed the signal in your blood. Guess I really am popular, Jace muttered, drawing his pistol. The air erupted in fire. Plasma bolts slammed into the crystal floor, sending waves of molten glass in every direction. Jace fired back, moving between fallen pillars, his shots quick and precise. Nira stood beside him, her biolight exploding into a storm of silver fire that disintegrated anything it touched. But the Syndicate's army was endless. Everyone they destroyed was replaced by two more crawling from the walls. Too many, Jace shouted. We'll be overrun. Not if we use the spire, she said, eyes blazing. It wants balance, two bloodlines, one purpose. If we give it what it wants, it will defend itself. You mean activate it? We don't even know what it does. She smiled grimly. Then it's time to find out. She reached for him, pressing her glowing hand against his chest. The patterns on their skin synced, merging into a single pulse of white fire. The spire responded instantly, the twin strands of light within the core coiling faster, brighter. The voice filled the chamber again. Initiating Union Protocol. Humanity plus Thessa. Evolutionary sequence commencing. The drones froze mid-motion, their lights flickering. Energy rippled outward in concentric waves, vaporizing metal, rewriting circuits, silencing the machines. The storm outside turned white-hot. The spire blazed like a second sun. Jace felt his knees buckle. His vision blurred as energy coursed through him. 1,000 memories, 1,000 voices, human laughter, alien songs, screams of birth and war and love. It was everything life had ever been. Then, silence. The drones were gone. The spire stood calm once more, its lights steady and serene. Nira collapsed against him, trembling. "We did it," she whispered. "It's awake." Jace caught her, breathing hard. What does that mean?" She looked up at him, eyes bright as stars. "It means the galaxy just changed." But before he could speak, the floor beneath them cracked, and from the broken core of the spire, a figure began to rise. Tall, armored in gold and black. Human face, Thessian eyes. A fusion of both species. Its voice was soft, terrible, and familiar. "Hello, brother." Jace froze. "Cade?" The figure smiled, metallic light bleeding from its veins. "Not anymore. The Syndicate rebuilt me. I'm the prototype of their new age." Nira whispered in horror. They merged him with the machine. Cade, or whatever he had become, extended his hand. "Come with me, Jace. Together, we can end this broken cycle. Flesh and light as one." Jace tightened his grip on his weapon. "You died saving us. I'm not letting them use you to destroy what you stood for." Cade's smile vanished. "Then you stand against evolution itself." The spire trembled as brother faced brother, one born of chaos, the other reborn as its heir, and the fate of two civilizations balanced on the edge of a single choice. Outside, the auroras dimmed, as if the planet itself were holding its breath. The spire howled. Every wall, every data vein, every frozen circuit screamed in resonance with the two brothers who stood at its core, one still human, the other something beyond it. Jace leveled his weapon, though the air burned around him. Across from him, Cade, or the being that wore his face, watched with the calm of a god. His armor pulsed with molten light, gold veins crawling through obsidian plating. Where flesh met metal, faint human scars still showed, reminders of a man who'd once bled, loved, and defied the stars. "Look at you," Cade said softly, still clinging to the illusion of choice, still believing you can fight inevitability. "I don't need to fight inevitability," Jace said. "Just you." Cade stepped closer. The spire trembled beneath his weight. "You're not my enemy, brother. You're my continuation." The Syndicate merely accelerated what the Vault began, the merging of code and will. "You and I are two halves of the same equation. Unite with me, and we can burn away everything that tried to cage us." Jace took a step back, gripping his sidearm tighter. "You sound like every tyrant who ever thought they were saving the world. And you sound like every fool who let it die instead." The floor split between them. Rivers of white fire flowed outward, illuminating the vast chamber. Above, the twin strands of DNA within the crystal core twisted violently, fusing and breaking, rewriting reality. Nira stirred where she had fallen, eyes fluttering open. Her voice was faint but sharp. "Jace, he's tied to the spire's network. If he completes the fusion, he'll overwrite both species." Cade's gaze shifted toward her. "You should be grateful, princess. No more bloodlines. No more borders. Just one perfect being, reborn from our flaws." "Perfection," Nira hissed, forcing herself to her feet, "is just extinction with better lighting." The spire's energy pulsed harder now, shaking the foundations. Ice cracked above them, letting shafts of violet aurora pierce the chamber. Time was running thin. Jace glanced up at the swirling code strands. "If I destroy the spire, it ends both sides' control, right?" Nira's eyes widened. "You'll destroy everything inside it, including you. The link binds you to its core." Cade smiled. "See, she understands. You can't win without becoming me." Jace exhaled slowly. "Maybe not, but I can choose how to lose." He sprinted forward. Cade's reaction was instant. Blades unfolded from his forearms, shimmering with nanite fire. They clashed, human steel against post-human perfection. Sparks rained like comets. Every strike echoed like thunder. Cade fought like inevitability itself, efficient, fluid, unstoppable. Jace fought like defiance given form, wild, brutal, and alive. Why fight? Cade shouted, slamming him into the ground. We could be gods. Jace spat blood, grinning through it. Gods are overrated. We never needed them. He triggered his wrist console. The spire's internal systems flickered. For a moment, all light froze. Then Nira's glow flared, pure silver cutting through the crimson storm. She'd linked her energy to his. The vault's ancient bond thrummed awake one last time. Together, she whispered, we can rewrite the end. The spire answered. Light erupted between them, not as destruction but as transformation. The twin strands within the core surged downward, spiraling into Jace and Nira. The human code, the Theshan code, perfectly balanced, but incomplete without choice. Cade lunged, trying to merge with them, but Jace caught his arm mid-swing. Their eyes met, one man of chaos, one of order. I forgive you, Jace said quietly. Cade hesitated. The light consumed them both. The explosion wasn't fire, it was birth. The spire erupted upward, a column of light tearing through the ice crust and splitting the clouds. Across the planet, the storm stopped. For the first time in centuries, Vera 9 saw sunlight. When the brilliance faded, only silence remained. The spire stood broken, its core hollowed. Nira awoke first, lying on the snow. Her body ached, but her glow had changed, no longer just Theshan light. It shimmered with human warmth, softer, steadier. She turned and gasped. Jace stood a few feet away, barely recognizable. His veins glowed faintly gold and silver, his eyes reflecting both species' light. Guess evolution had a sense of humor, he said, his voice tired but alive. She staggered toward him, relief flooding her face. You survived. He smiled faintly. Mostly. And Cade. Jace looked toward the spire's shattered base. There, amid the cooling metal, a figure knelt. Cade, human again, weak and coughing, the machine stripped away. He looked up at Jace, eyes full of peace. You finished it, Cade rasped. You ended the cycle. Jace knelt beside him. We ended it. Both of us. Cade managed to smile. Brothers, until the stars burn cold. Then he was gone. Nira rested a hand on Jace's shoulder. Above them, the auroras faded into dawn. Two suns rising over a planet reborn. What happens now? She asked quietly. Jace stared at the horizon, where the ice melted in golden rivers. Now, we build something better. No empires. No purity. Just survival, together. From orbit, hegemony ships drifted powerless, their AI networks fried by the spire's pulse. Across the galaxy, hybrid soldiers froze mid-march as their codes dissolved. The age of domination was over. And as Jace and Nira watched the twin suns rise, their joined hands glowed with the first light of a new epoch. Neither human nor Theshan, but something in between. The age of bridges had begun. In the wind, faint and distant, a familiar voice whispered from the fading spire. Brothers, until the stars burn cold. Jace smiled through the tears. Still keeping that promise, old man. And above them, the dawn split the sky. Two suns blazing on a world finally ready for both.